You know, in life, there are certain feelings that everybody gets. There are feelings of pleasure. Why did I start with that one? Feelings of pain, there's feelings of happiness, there's feelings of joy, there's feelings of sadness. But there are some feelings that, honestly, are indescribable. One of those feelings that are just simply indescribable is something that I call love. That's not exactly a feeling I'm personally accustomed to. However, I had glimpses of love come into my life every once in a while, and it is wow, it's an amazing feeling. Now, lucky for you all of this together ties into a little story. So recently, I was at church camp. I briefly mentioned it in one of my more recent videos, but it's essentially this camp that I go to every single year, and I've been going there ever since I was a young little Smoothy lad. Now, at this church camp, you have your cabin, right? But then you also have a sister cabin. And these two cabins do challenges together, and you get to know your sister cabin pretty well, or unless you're like me and then you don't really talk to them ever. A lot of people do like to, go ahead and flirt with their sister cabin and sort of have this energetic connection between the two cabins. For the most part, it's 13 stranger guys with 13 stranger girls, and you're all just meeting each other, and you're gonna be together for 1 week, so there's this weird energy that comes along with this whole thing. I'm sure for the most part, you guys can kind of understand where I'm getting at with this, because it's like, you can say and do whatever you want with these 13 girls, and then you're probably never gonna see them again. And I'm not talking about anything dirty, like I'm not talking about crimes that are gonna be committed. That's not, wow. It's sort of like a fresh start. You can make whatever impression you want on the other 13 girls, you can talk to them as much as you want, you can not talk to them as much as you want, and if you're anything like me, then you're probably never going to talk to them because it's terrifying to do that. I mean, whenever I come in contact with my sister cabin, well, actually I don't. And so, she's home. But trust me, okay, I assure you, this video has nothing to do with my sister cabin because I did not talk to them the entire week. It was just like every other week of camp that I've gone to. No communication between the two genders whatsoever. However, there was this one special moment that I had. At this camp, there's a coffee shop. And I was in the coffee shop just sitting there like a normal human being. I was just there with one of my friends when randomly, this female who I'd never met before in my life, this from a completely random sister cabin, I had no association with her whatsoever. She suddenly and completely randomly spoke to me. Now, that was quite the surprise. And we really just had a brief interaction. She said, what's your name? And I was like, Smoothy. I said it just like that. And then I asked her, what's your name? And then after that, I didn't really know what else to say, so I just shut up and didn't talk at all. Now, after this brief interaction between us, she ended up throwing a paper napkin at my face. And thinking back, this was a sign of human-on-human attraction. However, in the moment, I did not even think of it like that. I was just dumbfounded at the fact that a woman would even talk to me. And so she threw the napkin at me, and then I didn't know what else to do, so I just threw it back at her, and then I just kind of walked away. And that was the end of that interaction, and I never even saw her again. Which, that's actually a good thing, because if you remember, rule number 1 of my channel, avoid conflict. If I had at some random chance seen her again, sometime throughout the camp, there could be conflict. She might talk to me again, and I would have to respond. So luckily, I never saw her again, and I might add that she was fairly attractive, okay? I'm not going to go too much into it or say too much because she very well could be my future wife. Seeing the things that happened later in this video, she could be my future wife. That just hurt my soul. I was aiming at him and I didn't even see him at all. This whole interaction happened around, we'll say, Wednesday of the camp, and then we leave camp Saturday. It was something like that, along those lines. I don't remember the exact days, but I know we left camp Saturday because there's this whole big reunion thing where we eat a hole-in-one, which sounds very wrong, but it's essentially a donut and ice cream in the middle, and it's the most disgusting thing you ever eat in your entire life because we eat it for breakfast and I don't even touch it because it's disgusting. But while everybody is taking their food and most people just throw it away because nobody wants to eat that, people are giving each other hugs and being like, oh, I'm gonna miss you, and all the guys and sister cabins are like, oh, I'm gonna miss you, had such a great week together, and I'm usually just not doing any of that because nobody is hugging me. I had been hugged a couple times and talked to a few years ago, but not in any recent years. It hasn't happened, so we don't have to worry about any of that. So I just kind of sit there, and I have a few friends who I go with, so I'm just talking to them and pretending like I'm happy. Just sitting there and minding my own business with 1 or 2 friends when suddenly, out of the blue, this relatively attractive female, she walked up to me and said, Smoothie, and gave me a hug. She gave me a hug. Now, this completely threw me off because I was not expecting this at all, especially a hug from somebody who I hadn't even had a real conversation with. She simply threw a napkin at me and asked what my name was. I mean, at first glance, she's probably just for the streets, so I didn't think too much of it until I quickly gave her the benefit of the doubt, and I thought to myself, what if she actually just cares about me? And then I just felt the greatest feeling I'd ever felt in my life. This random person just gave me a hug. That's amazing. That's incredible. That was the best feeling of my life. It's gonna be pretty tough to top the feeling that I felt on that day when she gave me a hug as we were leaving. And Wow. But Smoothie, it's just a hug. It's not that big of a deal. No, it's more than a hug. It's love.